Hey, what's going on, Freedomers? All right, so the path to healing in my journey. So my friend who gave me a place to stay, her rising is in my 12. Her rising sign is in my 12th house. My uh my wow, my rising is in her second house. So I'm here. She's here to help me heal. I'm here to help her make more money. And she doesn't realize that because of her own insecurities, which is fine. But speaking about me, she's here to help me heal because I've come to a place and an understanding that even today she sent somebody to her Airbnb to get it clean, and the guy was talking about doing business with her, and he kept calling her my mother. Now that's key to what I'm about to say. And he kept calling her my mother, and we're both gonna get initiated in September into Ifa, and and she was talking about, we was asking, what heads do you think I am? And she said I thought you would say Oshun, and I said yeah, but I think more Yemaya. I think you have Oshun energy, but I think you're more Yemaya. But when he said that, and he's a priest, he said it 2 or 3 times. And I was like, why does he keep calling her my mother? And and I figured, and it connected with me, and I said her head is Oshun. And I was gonna call her and get all excited and tell her and boo 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 boo, but she be in her own world, so I don't be giving a fuck to give her that access to me anymore. But as he said that, it also re-triggered me to understand this placement, that her rising is in my 12th house. So the wounds that she activates for me, because that 12th house is the house of undoing. So the wounds that she activates for me is the wounds of my mother. And I may trigger some of her father, or some of her close siblings, or some of her close friends, some of the friends that she's dealt with. I may trigger some things for her. I don't know. But she triggers a lot of she triggers a lot of the wounds from my mother. Like, one of the biggest things that she does, that my mother does, is she doesn't apologize. That, and when she does wrong, that throws me over the fucking cliff. And then on top of that, she blames it on me and says it's my fault. And I could have did something different to make her behavior different. I say, wait the fuck a minute. When are you gonna own up and say you sorry? When are you gonna say, yo, I fucked up, I'm sorry? And I said, yo, cause that behavior is a very dangerous behavior. Because if you don't own up, when you fuck up, you breed you let that relationship harbor hatred and anger and frustration, because you don't know how to apologize, you don't know how to say I'm sorry, and more importantly, humans are creatures of habit. So if she does it to me, she does it to her daughter, she's gonna do it to people who love her. I said, you're never gonna be in a healthy relationship if you don't know how to apologize and say you sorry, and don't do it again. And I used to do that sort of kind of with my ex-best friend, and I realized how toxic that is. And on top of that, having an excuse all the time about why she did what she did. And it's so, like, astronomically fascinating to me, because I said, yo, when are you gonna, you tweaking? But to add to what I was saying this morning about my live, about a phrase that I said, is go to the root, not the face. Go to the root, not the face. And meaning the faces change. Meaning the faces can be, and I was going to make a live on that this morning, but I wrote it down. The faces can be your circumstances, people, your job, any outside of you circumstance, situation, or position. And they all have the same root. So until you change the root of the problem, where it comes from, you're just going to see different faces. Now, of course, you heard this phrase in many different ways, but skip it, because I learned this morning, she's not my problem. My programming is the problem. So when I realized, like, she triggers all the relationships with my mother, she's going to trigger these things. And the faster I heal it, the faster, and more important, I develop a healthy relationship with my inner feminine. The better relationship. And it's kind of like it's kind of like uh, it's kind of like what the hell is it called? It's kind of like, I lost my train of thought. It's kind of like, yeah, until I fix it, until I go to the root, it's like I'm gonna be attracting all these type of situations, and her type is not gonna go away. And I had to, and what I wrote down this morning is that I can't be in the business of changing, because the change comes from an inside place. And I tell her, like, I try to warn her, like, yo, you're gonna attract people who violate you and don't apologize if you don't learn to apologize yourself. If you make somebody feel a way and you just say fuck you and you gotta deal with it, you're gonna attract people who do that. And it may get worse, and I've seen it because I've done stuff like this. It may get worse and worse and worse and worse until you say, yo, that's not cool for somebody to do to me, and that's not cool for me to do to others. You know? And, I'm not perfect by no means, but it's like these are the things that she triggers within me. And my mother used to do that. My mother used to just violate us or say whatever she wanted. And she felt like she was the head bitch in charge. So she said, you have to listen to me anyway. And we always had to fight. And she does this with me. We always had to find a way to sort of apologize to her. Like we did something wrong. And even her child, sadly, said to me, when I voiced my opinion about the last time she made me feel away, she said, you're being over dramatic. I said, no, I wasn't. I taught her daughter a lesson, and I was like, I'll never forget this. The next day, that same day, she said, I have to write this down. The next day, she said to me, when we was doing a burning ritual, meaning a releasing ritual, she said, can you do this with fake friends? And I said, yeah, do it consistently. Write their name and say, I released them. And the reason why she felt comfortable to say that to me is because I taught her feelings. I taught her the lesson of saying your time is valuable. So when somebody tells you 10 o'clock, that's because that is kind of being a fake friend. If somebody tells you a certain time and they don't even care to communicate with you, that's not you know what's crazy about that? As she says that, as I think about that again, that's not a real friend. If a real friend, let me tell you something, and I had to realize that just clicked in my brain. A real friend, if they really respected you, if they really fuck with you, if they tell you 6 o'clock, they would not. And like what she did was, the party was at 6 o'clock. Her friend that invited us, because he's not my friend, he's her friend. That's why he contacted her, not me. He contacted, and even I contacted, what's so deep about it? I contacted him at 6 o'clock, around 6 o'clock, on purpose, and he still didn't let me know that the time changed. So it was all on her. And she didn't let me know till she called at 7 o'clock. I said, you calling me now? And I said, what's crazy? We've been in a situation like this where I moved on and I was doing something else now. So I was like, yo, you can't just tell me, oh, you can't just tell me, oh, you can't just tell me 6 o'clock and you don't show up, and then when I have other things to do, I'm on your time. So when her daughter said, yo, you can even do this with fake friends, as I learned that principle now, that is a fake friend. Because she wasn't talking about her, but she was talking about in general with her life. And I was like, yo, as I reflect that in my life, I was like, yeah, that is a fake friend. Because a real friend wouldn't do that to you. A real friend would not feel like, yo, I could call you at 7 o'clock, even though he told me, and you know what I'm saying? Like, and the fact that he didn't even tell me shows us our disconnect, because he don't know me. He's thinking he's more, actually, his eyeballs is more on her because he knows she got the money and they have a relationship. So if I come along, I come along. He's more, and I've seen it, he's more vested in initiating her than he is me. If I come along, I come along. I look like I was asking more questions and all this other stuff, but he's more vested, and I could see it. And maybe because she's pretty, maybe because she's all these other things, I don't know. But like I said, I realized, I was like, yo, and I was like, and I had to sit with myself, and I was like, yo, that is a fake friend. Because a real friend would call you, say, hey, the plans changed. I'm gonna call you at, I'm gonna pick you up at such and such a time, because they respect your time. Because what if I was living on my own and she didn't give me a place to stay, and I was doing something else at 7 o'clock? What if I said she didn't call me, so I'm gonna switch the plan, I'm gonna go out tonight, and I left around 6:30, 6:45. I said, nah, she don't call me, so she ain't interested. What if I had that? Because I've done that before, where I'll never forget, I was going to I was going to a viewing, and she told me 1 o'clock she gonna come. We're gonna do some things. I forgot what it was at the time, and she didn't call me till, I think it was like 2, 3 o'clock. And I was like, and I said the same thing over again. I said, you calling me now? And then she said, yeah, it took long, boopity boop boop boop. And I reflect on those 2 words that her daughter said, a fake friend. And I had to sit there and realize, like, wait a minute. Real friends don't do that. Because if somebody's my real, if I don't value somebody, that's how I treat them. If I don't value somebody, I call them when I feel like it. I don't care. They're on my time. But when I value somebody, I communicate with them. I let them know ahead of time what's going on. I could have called, but I'm like, yo, not even he let me know what time the party was starting. And I texted him around 6 o'clock. And what's crazy is, I think I said this in another video, she couldn't get to the spot without me, because if it wasn't for my navigation, she would have been going around in circles. So the enemy, and what that taught me is that if I stay grounded and if I stay focused, the enemy is not outside of me, the enemy is within. Because the Spirit told me again, if the outside person is not, or circumstance is not changing, the enemy's within. So as I conquer my enemy within myself, I'm like, wow, it's making me reevaluate this friendship that I have. It's making me reevaluate should I spend any type of time personally speaking to you, because you don't really value me for real. Because if somebody really values you, it's like they don't do that to you. They don't just let you figure it out. They don't do that to you. Because if they really respected you, they would communicate. They really respected an opportunity, they would communicate. It's interesting. But it's like, I was listening to Joey Bad, Waves, and I remember listening to that years ago. That's 8 years ago that song came out. it made me reflect and start thinking about where I was when I first heard this song, you know? And I would listen to it for hours. I would listen to it for hours creating poetry. It would be so fluid. And as I walked with my friend, I learned that we are on two different paths. And it's just the only difference right now is economics. That's it. That's the only difference between her and I. She makes more money. And I realized that as I take this Vuja Day moment to really heal, and I gotta start doing this real like healing work and this mirror work. I gotta start doing this mirror work for real tonight. Cause I think it's like 9 o'clock, I think. I'm off of my inner work. So I don't treat people like that, man. So when I know when somebody powerful comes into my life, when people come into my life that are great, I don't devalue them with my wounds, you know? You know? For real. And yeah, it's extremely fascinating. Like getting into my subconscious, grounding myself, feeling my emotions. I'm still I still escape my feelings sometimes, and I'm learning to grow with that. But as I don't do that, as I'm learning to break that habit and feel my feelings and feel my emotions and grow my confidence for real, there's only a certain amount of those behaviors I'm gonna take, because one day I won't be in a position to just I won't be on her. One day I won't be on her time, and she won't have the ability to just make me feel however. And it's fascinating. One day I won't be on her time, and it's the wounds from my mother, and my mother is the same. My mother is only gonna heal our relationship in the same way. I'm not speaking to her. Or in the words of my cancer friend, I have to deal with her accordingly. I ain't there yet, cause I'm cutthroat. It's either I fuck with you or I don't. But I have to deal with her accordingly, and that's what I'm doing my best to do right now. Deal with her accordingly. Like I was about to call her and tell her all these downloads. I was like, nah, forget all that, cause she don't appreciate it. That's like my mother. But it is what it is. As I heal, I said the enemy is, but that doesn't mean I'm worthless because she doesn't appreciate it. You feel me? Or she doesn't show it. Feel me? But Ashe, I'm learning to grow within myself and appreciate myself, love myself. Because I do. I'm growing within that love of myself.